It's all about the deal at Brunswick Auto Mart. Save big this month with deals like this. Don't miss the Make This the Summer event and lease a 2022 Ram 1500 Bighorn Quad Cab Night Edition 4x4 with 20-inch blackout wheels for just $375 a month. Or lease a 2022 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab for just $397 a month. Brunswick Auto Mart. Car buying made truly simple.
Good evening and welcome back to another Believeland Prep Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Sledge. With me, as always, my co-host, Joe Yule. How's it going, Joe?
I'm good, Kev. I'm good. I'm glad to be here. We got another weekend. We're another week closer to, going to this place right behind my head right now. I'm excited for, the season's finally on a roll. You're finally starting to see who's a bust and who's not. And, there's been some great games this past weekend.
Yeah, there was quite a few, and we've got 6 of them to recap and some good ones to preview as well. So without further ado, if you want to get us started.
Yeah, for sure. We had one of our own, Brady Hamilton, over in Tallmadge for the Highland Tallmadge game, our Brunswick Auto Mart and Medina Auto Mall game of the week. So, we were excited to have a reporter out there. We had 2 guys out, trying to get as much coverage as we can for y'all. But, with the game, both teams coming in undefeated, very highly anticipated game. Wide receiver for Tallmadge is committed to Wisconsin. He's a really good kid. He's a really good guy, from what Coach Mike Hayes talked to me about. And, we've covered back-to-back Highland weeks now, and they have not disappointed, any of the weeks. They've won both of the weeks. So I was excited to see that. But it was a hard-fought game, and both teams battled. And, Coach Mike Hay made it known to us that we, you needed to stop their defense. You needed to break their defense. And he said it was one of the best defenses he's seen in a long time in the Suburban League and collectively. So, hats off to Coach Givens and the Highland Hornets there. They're advancing to 4-0. But, from what we got on the game and everything, it was really Lucas Stiles and Noah Robinson who, had a dual threat tandem in the backfield at running back. And it elevated the Hornets game. And, they're moving on to 4-0. Then the Tallmadge Blue Devils, they'll be falling to 3-1. So, we're excited to see how those 2 teams play out because those are 2 very, very talented programs. Right now Tallmadge is sitting around the 6th spot in the standings for Region 9, and they'll actually stay at home this week against a tough Revere team. And then Highland will stay on the road and go to Barberton. Barberton's got a really tough defense from what even Coach Hay said to us when we briefly talked to him. So, excited to see how a tough defense and another tough defense go at it. So.
And we head out to Manaway Crestwood. This one was covered by yours truly. Painesville Harvey defeated Crestwood 56-14 to move to 2-2 on the season. Dropped Crestwood to 1-3. They're having a tough start after their good season last year. But as we've talked, they've lost a lot of players. And Coach D'Amato is a great guy and a great coach. But I felt I felt bad because you could tell right from the beginning which way this was going to go. It was pretty much over in the first quarter. It's a tremendous size difference. I mean, Painesville was bigger, faster, and more physical. Crestwood was able to get a couple fourth quarter touchdowns against the Harvey backups, but for the most part, it was all Painesville. The running back, Blaze Collins, had 13 carries, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They had a hell of a running attack. Sean Elston, 108 yards on only 5 carries and a touchdown. And then Caleb Puckett had 1 carry for 86 yards and a touchdown. So he made that 1 carry count for sure. their quarterback, Kevon Wise, only had to throw 6 passes, but he completed 5 of them for 78 yards and a couple touchdowns. So just a strong balanced attack from Painesville. And for Crestwood, Tristan Addis had 47 yards and a touchdown out of the backfield. So Harvey travels to Middlefield Cardinal. I'm sorry, has home game against Middlefield Cardinal this week, and Crestwood will be at Beechwood. That could be a winnable game for them for sure.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Getting back towards Cleveland area. We had 2 perennial powerhouses in Ohio going at it again. We talk about how Coach Lombardo, plays a very tough schedule, and he did it again when he beat Cincinnati's Elder, who's now 3-1. They won 17-14. So, it was a tough team, tough game, and a huge win. I spoke to Coach Lombardo a little bit this past weekend. And, he said it was a tough battle. So, the St. Ed's team always finds a way to prevail. That at some point you have to think that comes down to the coaching staff that Coach Lombardo has surrounded himself with, and what a great coach that he is. Playing a tough Toledo Central Catholic team who's now 3-1 week 1, and they win 23-20. Play, the number 2 team in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and they curb stomp them at the Freedom Bowl. And then last week they beat Cherry Creek, the number 1 team in Colorado, who's now 2-1. They beat them 13-9, and then they beat an undefeated Cincinnati Elder team 17-14. So, they're playing a very good schedule, but, at some point you have to think it comes down to coaching. And, it also comes down to those guys in the front for St. Ed's. St. Ed's has the number 1 ranked center in the class, in the sophomore class right now in the state of Ohio. So, but, it really came back to Michael Kilbane and Wyatt Gideon that, St. Ed's had 8 sacks. I mean, 8, that's crazy. That's, that is crazy. And there's a dual threat quarterback from Elder, he's no scrub still. He ran the ball 15 times for 26 yards and completed 14 of 22 passes for 123 yards. But Gideon got to him 4 times, and Kilbane got to him 3 times. So, and Robert King also had a tackle in the backfield. But, the medicine to the madness was the defense. 8 sacks, and they held Elder's offense total to 178 yards and 55 yards rushing only.
That's very impressive for sure. All right, so we had a battle of the unbeatens, Austintown Fitch and Youngstown Ursuline, and Fitch took this one 42-34 to hand Ursuline their first loss of the season. This was a crazy game. Fitch led this game 28-0 at halftime and 42-7 at the end of the third quarter. You see what the final score was. Ursuline scored 27 points in the fourth quarter, just came up a little short, ran out of time. But a crazy finish to that one. Fitch had a couple long defensive touchdowns. DJ Williams had an 83-yard fumble return in the second quarter for a touchdown, and then Cam Smith an 85-yard interception return in the third quarter for a touchdown. Fitch forced 4 turnovers all total in the game. Running back Jamel James had 21 carries, 156 yards and a touchdown. And their wide receiver Jaden Ely, 3 catches, 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. So crazy game between a couple unbeatens, but a good one, good finish for sure. This week, Fitch is hosting Bennett High School out of New York, and Ursuline heads out to Warren Harding to take on Warren Harding. Excuse me.
Yeah, and then we have we have some more Suburban League action, PTC action. Haven't said that in a while. Yeah. And we got Woodridge and Coventry. Coventry coming into the game 2-1, and Woodridge 3-0, and Woodridge coming into the game 1-2. Woodridge upsets Coventry in a way, winning 28-14. The medicine really was, you think about it, looking at the stats, Coventry had 10 first downs and Woodridge had 20. That's double the first downs, double the points. Makes a difference, being able to convert those third and fourth downs is huge. And, shockingly enough, penalties didn't kill the Bulldogs. They had 136 yards in penalty yards that they gave up. So, thinking about it, if Woodridge can clean that up, this may be a very, very dangerous team that you see in the future. No question about it in my mind. They play a tough schedule. they're in the Metro Conference. It's a tough schedule to go play, and I'm excited to see how their season fares out there.
Definitely. So wrapping up our recaps, we had another very good game between Painesville, Riverside, and Chardon, who was carrying a 31-game winning streak, longest streak in the state of Ohio. Well, it stopped at 31 because Painesville, Riverside handed them their first loss, 21-7. As we said, ended their 31-game winning streak. Riverside quarterback Mikey Maloney pretty much did it all. Counted for all 3 scores, had a 2-yard touchdown run, and also threw 2 passes through the air. Overall, 11 of 18, 131 yards in those 2 touchdowns. Chardon's lone score came on a 98-yard swing pass and run from Alex Henry to Andrew Bruce. So, it's time to start a new winning streak for Chardon as they host Mayfield this week, and Riverside will play against Madison.
I'm sure that winning streak will start pretty soon.
I'm sure. Right.
I'm not biased by any means, but if you know Northeast Ohio football or Ohio football period, Chardon wins.
Definitely.
A lot.
Definitely. Before we get into the previews, I want to give a quick shout out to Rootstown running back Cody Kuntz, who is our Week 1 small school player of the week. He surpassed 1,000 yards this past week in only 4 games, which is just insane. But congrats out to him. And
I'm just saying.
What's that?
Hint for week 4. Hint for week 4.
Yeah, hint. All right, you want to start off with our previews?
Yeah, so going into week 5, week 5. Week 5. Right, I'm right.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy to think that it is week 5, but we have Hoban at St. Ignatius. Those are 2 storied programs in Coach Kyle's last year. Hoban obviously having a All-American running back, and St. Ignatius also having a very, very strong running game. I mean, I'm excited to see how this plays out. I think it's really going to come down to how well Josh Popish, plays at quarterback. Ignatius is known for running the ball and pounding it down your throat, kind of. But in that win against Mentor in overtime, he had over 130 some yards in passing and a couple touchdowns, I believe, too. So, Popish he can move, he can throw the ball, and if he can keep on being that second punch with his running back, I think they'll be all right.
And we've got a big battle of unbeatens. Canfield 4-0 against Youngstown Chaney, also 4-0. Canfield has wins over West Branch, Bellevue, Poland Seminary, and St. Thomas More out of Ontario, Canada, who they just beat this past week. And then looking at Chaney, they've got wins also over Poland Seminary, Boardman, Cardinal, Mooney, and Marlington. As far as Canfield goes, their standout quarterback, senior Brock Lowry, threw only 3 interceptions last year in 201 attempts. So they rely heavy on him offensively, but they did lose their top 2 rushers from last year. They've got a host of guys in the backfield this year. Defensively, they really rely on seniors Don Marzano, Hunter Knotts, and Caden Cahoot to keep them strong defensively. Chaney, their standout guys, quarterback Matt Jones, at 140 yards rushing and 56 yards passing this past week and scored 3 touchdowns. So that should be a good one. Somebody's going to get their first loss, but a couple of powerhouses.
Fun stat. Canfield's number 1 in the region I coach in, and Chaney's number 2.
Wow.
Or number 3. Sorry, my bad. We play number 2 next week.
How do you?
So that. I'm telling you, that region's tough, man. Chardon and Tallmadge as well in it. Gosh. Gotta love it. Next, going a little bit smaller school. Kevin and I alumni, James A. Garfield and Garrettsville is traveling to Champion. A lot of people probably wouldn't have put this game to talk about, but I think it's important because a very good and talented Rootstown team, Champion was leading for 3 quarters in week 2. Yeah. That says something about that Champion team. There was there's always this little bit of a chip when it comes to Champion. When I think of it, we got in a little scruff with them when I was in high school. So I think it's going to be a physical game. I think that Garrettsville is going to run their single wing offense, and I think they're going to run through Champion. But if you see that Champion team that played for 3 quarters against Rutztown, and they can put another, 15 minutes together, they see an upset.
Yeah. Yeah, if they play anything like they did against Rutztown, it'll be a damn good game for sure. All right, so next one up, we have Hudson at 4-0 against Wadsworth 3-1, and we'll have Brady Hamilton out at that one, correct?
Yeah, working on that right now. People who are going to hear this tomorrow, they'll sneak peek. We have a interview with Wadsworth's coach.
Very nice. So Hudson comes in with wins over Solon, Euclid, Warren Harding, and Twinsburg. Wadsworth wins over Barberton, Worcester, Brecksville, and lost to Medina in a shootout to Danny Stoddard. So Hudson is led by quarterback Jagger Pally. He had 2,200 yards and 20 touchdowns this past season. He's having a strong start to this season as well. And Ian Ludwig, who rushed for almost 2,600 yards last season. That's their 2 main guys offensively. Wadsworth, you look at quarterback Will Stack this past week, 60 yards rushing and a touchdown, 8 for 12, 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. And running back Kyle Figueroa had 74 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead their attack. So that should definitely be a good one, and looking forward to seeing Brady's recap on that one.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Brady's been a really nice addition to this company. His dedication with everything. It's been really, really cool to see. Now shift gears to, my sleeper team in a way, who I think is still really underrated, and the Field Falcons. 2 tough losses to 2 4-0 teams right now. Losing on a questionable play, apparently, week 1 against Mogador, and then losing week 3 to a 4-0 Rutztown team. So, 2 very tough games that they lost, but, bouncing back after both those games, looking to string it together against Cloverleaf, who is 3-1 right now. So, it's going to be a really tough game. I'd like to say Field has the advantage in a way, which I think they do, but the last time they played a green and white team at home, it didn't work out so well. So, you never know. For those of you who don't know, that's Mogador's colors. And Cloverleaf's only loss being to Division III Buckeye. And Buckeyes played a very, very tough schedule, who's 3-1. So, I think that if you put the ball in number 1's hands, good things are going to happen. You give it to Braxton Baumberger and you let him do his thing, connect with Garrett Green a few times and, hand the ball off to the workhorses in the backfield. Field is going to be just fine. But I think the medicine to their madness may be slow the game down as much as possible, because a lot of your big-time players on offense are also big-time players on defense. So, sometimes, you really got to milk the clock, even though you might not have to. You may want to keep those guys fresh over on defense.
Definitely. So last one we've got Cardinal Mooney at 1-3 taking on Lutheran East, who's 3-1. Looking at Mooney, they have wins over their only win over Lake Catholic, and then losses to Boardman, Youngstown, Chaney, and Lindsley this past week, a team out of West Virginia, in which Mooney actually led 14-0 at the half and ended up losing 28-14. But they're led by junior quarterback Ashton O'Brien, a couple senior wide receivers, Nolan Radinsky and Tyler Reale, and running back Jamar Howell. Looking at this Lutheran East team, they're kind of a hard one to figure out, if they're that legit or not. Their wins came against winless teams, John Adams, Oberlin, and Warrensville Heights. And their only loss was to Garfield Heights, 46-38. But Garfield Heights only has 1 loss, and their only loss was to a 4-0 Cleveland Heights team. So
that Cleveland Heights team is good.
Is it? So there you go.
Really, really good. Really good. Very well coached. Hey, it's a good team. Very happy they're Division I and we are 3.
But Lutheran East is coming off an ugly 12-8 grind out win over Warrensville Heights on Friday.
Yeah, and they're young. They haven't, in the past 4 years, 5 years to my knowledge, they've gone through 3 different coaching staffs now.
Oh wow.
Or at least guys at the head helm.
Yeah.
To my understanding. Now, that has something to do with it being at a school like Lutheran East. When you try to build something and build the school back up, you get a few roadblocks, and that happens when kids may not want to attend your school. They want to go there for the academics and how prestigious it is there. But, if they can get the same education at a school that has a sustained coach, then I think they would choose there. So I think that's running into some of Lutheran East's issues.
Okay.
But anyway, I mean, they're still 3-1 regardless.
Right.
So, they're a legit team, I feel like. And Preppers won, just East Shaker Heights. What can I say?
So there we go. Some good week 5 games on the docket. And I'm sure plenty more we didn't talk about. We could go all night talking about this, but we don't want to bore you to death. But as we said, we'll have Brady out at the Hudson Wadsworth. I'm unfortunately stuck in COVID protocol hell, so I have to unfortunately take a week off from coverage, but I'll be back out next week doing my thing. But look for, as Joe hinted, we've got some interviews coming up with a standout player and a couple coaches. So look forward to those the rest of this week. And got anything else for us, Joe?
Yeah, 2 standout players. Yeah,
two standout
okay. Players. Our Division 1 and Division 3 player of the week is Division 1 through 3 player of the week is going to be joining us on here also.
Very nice. See, I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, that one just happened.
Yeah, surprises all the time. All right, that wraps up this week. Like I said, look to those interviews this week, and then we'll talk at you next Sunday on the podcast.